Accountability. It's a word that sounds great in leadership books, looks nice on corporate values posters, and gets thrown around a lot when things go wrong. But let's be honest, most leaders say they value accountability until it's their turn to take it. Because accountability isn't just about making sure people do their jobs. It's about owning the outcomes, good and bad. It's not about assigning blame. It's about taking responsibility. Yet somehow we've built a culture where leaders demand accountability from employees, but refuse to model it themselves. Companies talk about accountability, but create systems where hiding mistakes is easier than admitting them. And we praise results-driven leadership even when those results come at the cost of trust, integrity, and long-term success. And that's exactly why so many organizations fail. Not because they lack talent, but because they lack real accountability. So today, we're going to get real about what accountability really means, why most workplaces get it completely wrong, and how leaders can create a culture where accountability is a standard, not the exception. Let's talk about it. I'm Jim Mayer, and this is Work But Make It Human, the podcast where we break down the people skills that make work, well, work. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. If you've been listening, I appreciate you being part of this conversation. And if you're also into manufacturing, check out the Manufacturing Culture Podcast, where we explore the human side of the industry. If you like what you hear today, rate and review the show. It helps more people find these conversations, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, let's dig into accountability, why it's a leadership skill that every company preaches, but few actually practice. The Encarta Dictionary defines accountability as responsible to somebody or for something, and capable of being explained. But in business, accountability is more than a definition. It's a leadership philosophy, a cultural foundation, and a deciding factor between success and failure. When accountability exists, organizations thrive. According to Gallup, companies that build a culture of accountability see a 50% increase in employee engagement and performance. In a Harvard Business Review article, high accountability workplaces outperform low accountability workplaces by 22% in profitability and 21% in productivity. And according to Deloitte, organizations where leaders model accountability see 76% higher employee trust. But here's the thing, accountability isn't something that you can force. It can't be mandated in an email or simply slapped on a corporate values poster. Accountability is a choice. It's a decision to take ownership instead of pointing fingers. Accountability is a culture, a system where people feel safe enough to admit mistakes and strong enough to own their responsibilities. And accountability is the key to trust, and trust makes organizations run, not fear or micromanagement. So why do companies get it wrong? If accountability is so powerful, why do so many companies struggle with it? Because accountability requires vulnerability. Leaders don't want to admit mistakes because they fear looking weak. Employees don't speak up because they fear retaliation. And organizations say they want accountability, but reward people for hiding those failures. It's easier to create a culture of blame than a culture of responsibility. And the consequences? According to Gallup, only 15% of employees are actively engaged at work, and the lack of accountability is a significant factor. According to Harvard Business Review again, only 33% of employees strongly agree that their leadership holds themselves accountable to the same standards they set for others. And according to SHRM, low accountability cultures see 48% higher turnover rates and a 60% increase in workplace conflict. Accountability isn't about punishing mistakes. It's about owning them, learning from them, and making better decisions moving forward. And this is where leaders have the greatest responsibility. Because if leaders don't model accountability, nobody else will. That's the difference between strong organizations and failing ones, between leaders who build trust and bosses who create fear. For decades, leadership culture has been built on avoiding accountability. How many times have we seen powerful people fail spectacularly and still walk away unscathed? Let's take a step back. The traditional leadership playbook has been built on avoiding accountability at all costs, blaming external factors instead of owning failures, and punishing employees for mistakes, but shielding executives. And this isn't new. In 2001, Enron collapses in one of the biggest corporate fraud scandals ever. Executives cook the books, employees lose their pensions, and the CEO goes to jail. But most of the top executives walk away millionaires. In 2008, the financial crisis obliterates the global economy. Banks gamble recklessly, millions lose their homes, and the taxpayers bailed them out. How many of those bankers went to prison? 0. In 2010, BP's Deepwater Horizon explosion kills 11 workers and causes the worst oil spill in U.S. history. BP said, "We take full responsibility," while fighting safety regulations behind the scenes. In 2023, the Boeing whistleblower scandal. Insiders warn that Boeing is cutting corners on safety. A whistleblower, John Barnett, mysteriously, quote unquote, dies days before he's set to testify. Boeing's response? Nothing but corporate jargon. Are you seeing any patterns here? Big corporations, government officials, and so-called leaders have spent decades mastering the art of dodging responsibility. And this is a leadership culture we are all raised in. Strong leaders don't admit weakness. Mistakes get you fired, so cover them up. If something goes wrong, blame the lowest level employee you can find. That's the way it's always been done. It's easy to call out these failures, but what does real accountability actually look like? Step 1, personal accountability. Owning your own actions. Are you the leader who takes responsibility for your mistakes? Do you follow through on what you say you'll do? And do you admit when you're wrong? Or double down and make excuses? Level 2 is team accountability, creating a culture where people own their work. You've got to set clear expectations. People need to know exactly what they're responsible for. You've got to create psychological safety. People need to feel safe owning mistakes without fear of being thrown under the bus. And you've got to follow through. If you say accountability matters, but you let things slide, you're teaching people that accountability is optional. And level 3 is organizational accountability, holding company and leaders to higher standards. We need public transparency. We need to own our failures and not cover them up. We need to see consequences at the top. If employees lose jobs for their mistakes, executives should too. And we also need to see long-term changes, not short-term PR moves. We have to fix the system, not just the headlines. Accountability doesn't happen by accident. It happens when organizations design systems that support it. There are 4 very easy steps. Clarity. Set clear, measurable expectations for every role. 2 is ownership. Reward people for taking responsibility, not making excuses. 3, feedback. Make accountability a two-way street. Leaders should invite feedback, not just give it. And 4, consequences. When accountability is optional, it disappears. So let's stop pretending accountability is a slogan. Let's stop pretending it's just a word on a wall or in a boardroom or on our flyers or PowerPoints. Accountability is a choice. It's a standard. It separates real leaders from the ones just playing the role. And the best part, it's completely contagious. When you show accountability, your team follows. When leaders step up, employees do too. And when companies practice it, entire industries change. But it has to start somewhere. And that somewhere, it's you. The challenge for this week is to take one step toward creating more accountability in your world. Own a mistake, set clear expectations, and have the conversation that you've been avoiding. I really would love it if you would subscribe, rate, and review this show. It would mean the world to me every time that you subscribe, every time you rate, every time you review this show. It allows other people to find us. I don't know what it is in this wild podcast algorithm that makes that the truth, but it's the truth. And so I don't get it, but please do it. I would love it if you'd also check out the Manufacturing Culture Podcasts, and you can go download your free accountability toolkit over at themfgconnector.com. I'm Jim Mayer. Remember, you're already a leader. Let's make sure you're leading like it matters. This has been Work, but Make It Human.